Здравейте! Здравейте на всички, присъединили се днес тук с нас. Благодаря ви, че сте избрали в 5:30, в края на работния ден, да чуете какво имаме да ви кажем. По-конкретно аз нямам много какво да ви кажа. Имаме си спикър, който се надявам, че ще ви е интересно. С нас днеска е Мария, която ще ни представи как да подобрим писмените умения на учениците с помощта на Your Space и други полезни съвети, които има да ни даде. Давам думата на Мария. Hi, Maria. Hi again. It's lovely to see you.
Thank you, Maya. Thank you. Good afternoon, здравейте, everyone. Welcome to this session. Thank you very much for joining. Please find the chat. I see you have found the chat already. Use the chat during the session. I would like this to be interactive as possible. This is the second webinar in this series, and I hope that you will find it useful and get some takeaways from this presentation. Before we kick off the session, I would like to invite you to scan this QR code that you can see on my slide at the moment. It's about Cambridge newsletters. Please do sign up, follow us, and you will get access to lots of resources, teachers' resources, free materials, and you will get informed about the upcoming events and webinars. So today's webinar is about helping our students develop their writing skills. It's all about how we can create the conditions in our classrooms where students can practice their writing skills and gain confidence in their writing abilities. Just a few words about me for those who were not with us on Friday. I just wanted to mention that I am an EFL teacher. I am a teacher like you, right, who is passionate about teaching, about learning. So I hope today we're going to learn from each other. So please share your ideas in the chat, use it. I am based in Greece, Athens in particular. I'm also a speaking examiner. I am a sociologist and a freelance teacher trainer. Okay, so the first thing that I would like us to do is to think about this question, all right? What is your students' attitude towards writing? Can you please type in the chat? How do your students feel about writing? Are they as enthusiastic as the boy on my slide? They prefer talking. Okay, Daniela. Anyone else? How do they feel about writing? It depends on the class, Isabella, that's true. Yes. It is the most difficult thing for them to write a text on their own. That's right, Sia, I think. They're not very happy about it. They don't like it, says Valentina. Most of them don't like it. Yes, they don't like writing. Okay, it depends. Yes. Like it, but it's not easy. Yes, it's not an easy task. Thank you very much. They find it difficult. So we've got plenty of adjectives and contributions with negative connotation here, right? And that's interesting, isn't it? I mean, if our students have negative attitude, we need to think about it, right? Where these feelings might have come from. They find it difficult. Thank you very much, everyone. Okay, so what's on our agenda for today? We're going to start by reflecting on what writing is, right? And what's involved in the writing process in general. Then we're going to look at what makes writing instruction effective. And most of the session, of course, is devoted to sharing practical ideas. Okay, so let's get started. what is writing? To help us in our thinking, I would like to ask you this question. What kind of texts have you written in the last 24 hours? Can you please type in the chat? Timenushka says they feel frustrated. Yes. And I always tell them I don't want them to be a Shakespeare. And here we go. Yes, that's true. Okay, so most of you, let me see, messages. All right, formal emails, instructions, emails. All right, emails, notes, okay. And I'm sure that your texts were for some reason, right? For a particular reason. The description of the worst event is semi-formal today, okay. Documents, thank you very much. So considering your responses here, it seems that we write for a particular reason, right? To pass some information, to give a message. Okay, very good. So what do we mean by writing then? It's very difficult to define what writing is, since it involves a lot of skills, right? Various skills that need to be mastered at different levels of competence, of course. And at the level we're going to focus on today, students more or less have acquired some basic skills, right? They know basic skills such as handwriting, right? They know at least to write a sentence. So what do we mean by writing at this level? I thought it would be a good idea to share a couple of quotes with you that encapsulate the essence of writing. And perhaps these quotes will help us in our thinking. So the first quote here is by Hermansen and Lindgren, who say that at its core, writing is about communication with someone who is in another place or in another time. In other words, it's about communicating real messages to someone, right? To a reader. And the other quote is this one by Thornbury and Watkins. They also refer to this idea of communication. However, they emphasize that writing, it's not just a way of practicing grammar and spelling. So when we think about writing, we need to make that distinction between writing to learn the language and writing to become better writers. So there is that idea of writing to learn and learning to write. Writing to learn involves writing activities that reinforce and consolidate the language students have studied. So we might have, for example, a gap fill activity, or we might ask them to write sentences after we have introduced, let's say, the present perfect or the conditionals, whatever. Whereas in learning to write, the emphasis is on writing texts. So students write texts with a particular purpose and a particular audience in mind, right? And we want them to become better writers, better communicators. And today we are going to focus on the latter case, on the learning to write, of course. Okay, let me see. Could you give an access to, okay.
Yes, I was just going to, yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna share the QR code at the end of the presentation as well. Okay, that Lena, I think. So, what's involved in the writing process? What are the steps or the processes we go through when we write a piece of text? Hyland provides the following simplified version of different steps in the writing process. So he says that there is that idea, there is this, the pre-writing stage, yes, when we think about ideas, when we might take notes, when we might make a plan, and so on. Then there is the drafting stage, when we write our first draft. The responding stage, right? It involves seeking and responding to feedback that we might receive from others. And on the basis of that feedback, we might revise our draft. In the editing stage, we might deal with language issues. And finally, we make the text available to others, right? To readers. And this is basically the publishing stage. Okay, so we've looked at what is writing, right? What's involved in the writing process. Let's move on to the next section and have a look at what makes writing instruction effective. This part is about a research report I came across, and I thought it would be a good idea to share it with you. I promise I will be brief. So this report was published in April 2022. So it's not that old. It was commissioned in New Zealand. And the research was done in New Zealand, the US, and Europe. Those people had looked at 48 different studies about writing in upper primary since 2005. And you can find a QR code again on my slide if you want to find out more about it. And I'm going to share this QR code later as well. So let's see. These people, they came up with 9 points, okay? And I'm going to go through them very quickly. So number 1, they say that we need to give our learners plenty of opportunities to write. Okay, writing needs to be done in class and outside class, and they should write for various purposes. And we need to provide them with lots of writing activities. They said also that those activities need to be meaningful and motivating. And they also emphasized this idea of providing students with the opportunity to select tasks, okay, providing different options. Number 2, was looking at writing as a process, okay? It's about recognizing that writing is a complex process. It needs time. We go through several stages. So we need to train our students to use strategies such as planning, drafting, revising, and so on. And I think the most important thing is to make them understand that it is a process, because for some reason they think that, okay, if you're a good writer, that's it, you write it and it's perfect the first time. That's not true, okay? Even we professionals need some time. For example, to write this presentation, it took me weeks, all right? So they need to understand it's a process. Number 3 is about direct and explicit instruction. It's about demonstrating, it's about showing good examples, it's about prompting and asking questions based on models, right? It's about analyzing models. And also they emphasized techniques such as thinking aloud, or co-constructing the text together with the students. Number 4 was about feedback. Feedback is very important, and it needs to be relevant, it needs to be constructive, and it needs to be provided in a timely way, right? Not after a month, for example, once they have written something. And they also talked about, they emphasized the importance of peer feedback, okay, and self-evaluation procedures. Number 5 was about technology. Technology has the potential to enhance instruction and let's say to boost their students' autonomy, okay? So technology can be very, very helpful if it is used in a principled and pedagogically sound way. Number 6 was collaboration. Okay, it's about providing opportunities for students to work with others, to work collaboratively, to share ideas, and to learn from each other. Number 7 looked at differentiated instruction. So it's about being responsive to learners' needs. It's about understanding and meeting basically different learners' needs. Number 8, and this is interesting, it's about integrating different skills. Writing instruction works best when it is integrated with other skills, such as reading, speaking, listening. So we might have our students read a text, discuss some ideas, listen to each other, right? And we need to consider that and actually involve that kind of texts and, that kind of activities in our classrooms. Okay, and the last one was basically bilingual students. This research report shows that writing instruction is more effective when we recognize the existing language resources our students may have. So it's about this idea, what do they call it? Translanguaging. It's the practice of switching from one language to the other. They also talked about translation when it is needed, of course. So these were the 9 points they came up with. Any surprises there? Anything that surprised you? Can you type in the chat a number? No, nothing. Okay, great, fantastic. Multilingual classes, yes, number 9. Interesting. That's right, Biljana, I think. Okay, let's move on. So we have looked at what makes writing instruction effective. Now, let's get a little bit practical, okay, and see how we can actually better exploit what Your Space for Bulgaria has to offer. So for the purposes of this webinar, I have selected 3 units, which will be the basis for our discussion today. But before we explore the units, okay, we need to remind ourselves of certain points. We need to think about the level we're aiming at, yes, what our students should be able to do, and what text we expect them to, they are expected to be able to write. Okay, so what would you say is the level students are expected to achieve in grade 7? Can you type in the chat? According to SAFER, to Common European Framework. Okay, Daniela says A2. Any other contributions? According to the Common European Framework, A2, Miroslava, yes, A2, 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 Achilleas, that's right. A2, maybe A2 plus, yes, thank you very much. Okay, so now let's freshen up our memory and look at what students should be able to do at this level. Okay, the statements that you will see on my slides were taken from the teacher's book. Okay, so let's see. Students should be able to write short what and what on a given topic and fill out forms as well. Can you type in the chat? They should be able to write short, okay, messages and note messages. Yes, yes, that's right, messages and notes. Thank you very much. Okay, they should be able to express what? Using simple expressive means. Okay, Miroslava, yes. Daniela, opinions. Achilles, Uvelina, opinion. Valentina, yes, opinions. You are right. They should be able to write something, accepting or rejecting an invitation, expressing gratitude, apologizing, and so on. Letters and emails. That's right. Correct. And they should be able to briefly describe something from their personal lives. Events. Okay. Yes. Events, correct. And finally, they should be able to write text according to a given something, if necessary with the help of materials. Given plan, okay. If necessary with the help of what? What kind of materials? Support, Timenushka, if I'm not mistaken. I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. Plan, support, yes. Thank you, everybody. Okay, thank you, Timenushka.
Yes, your support. Yes, you're very good. Temenushka, yes.
Thank you, Maya. Okay, plan and support. That's right. Okay, so this is important, right? If necessary, with the help of support. So we need to keep that in mind. Okay, so here on my slide, I have an image of the contents page of your space, all right? I would like us to think about the writing section. Where does it come in a unit? Where does the writing section come in a unit? Okay, yes, in the last lessons at the end, and that's right. Well, as you were saying, exactly. So this is what usually happens in all course books, really, right? The writing section comes towards the end of the unit, and this happens for a particular reason. But thinking about the research report we saw earlier, providing opportunities to write is essential. So perhaps we shouldn't wait for the end of the unit to practice writing. We need to create opportunities and give our students the chance to practice writing in an interesting and meaningful way, right? So let's see how we can actually do that. And I have a little task for you. Okay, we're going to play a video. Thank you, Maya. We're going to play a video, and I would like you to watch the video and write in the chat anything that comes to mind while you're watching the video or after you watch it. It could be something about the video. It could be the message it communicates. It might be your feelings, how the video made you feel. If you don't write it in the chat, okay, do it on a piece of paper, but please do it. All right? So are we ready? Let's play the video.
Het is al laat en ik wil wel slapen, maar dit houdt een plekje bezet in mijn hoofd. Ik ben op zoek, mijn gedachten verraden, mijn eigen gevoel, misschien heb jij dat ook. Wachten tot de nacht weer dag wordt, geen reactie, Ook een antwoord sluit mijn ogen voor ik bang word. Hier is alles stil. Ik gaf je een stukje van mij. Je zou het bewaren, maar maakte het kwijt. Je hebt het gebroken, dat stukje van mij. Je kon het niet laten, heb je eigenlijk spijt. Van vertrouwen naar verraden blijf ik achter met de schaamte. Je hebt het gebroken, dat stukje van mij. Je zou het bewaren, maar ik raakte alles kwijt. Er is een litteken achtergelaten en met de pijn laat je mij in de steek. Ik heb het gevoel dat ze over me praten. Ik ga ze voorbij, maar ze kijken nog steeds. Wachten tot de dag weer nacht wordt. Geen reactie op een antwoord. Sluit mijn ogen, want de angst komt. Maak het even stil. Ik gaf je een stukje van mij. Je zou het bewaren, maar maakte het kwijt. Je hebt het gebroken, dat stukje van mij. Je kon het niet laten, heb je eigenlijk spijt. Van vertrouwen naar verraden blijf ik achter met de schaamte. Je hebt het gebroken, dat stukje van mij. Je zou het bewaren, maar ik raakte alles kwijt. Oh, ik begrijp het niet, alle schuld die ligt bij jou. Oh, maar ze zien het niet, maar jij maakte de fout. Zie je echt zelf dan niet, als alles is kapot gemaakt door jou. Ik gaf je een stukje van mij. Je zou het bewaren, maar maakte het kwijt. Je hebt het gebroken, dat stukje van mij. Je kon het niet laten, heb je eigenlijk spijt. Van vertrouwen naar verraden blijf ik achter met de schaamte. Je hebt het gebroken, dat stukje van mij. Je zou het bewaren, maar ik raakte alles kwijt.
Hij ziet toch tot daar.
Okay. Maya, can you change the... Or I just click on the next... Oh, okay. Thank you very much, Naya. Okay, I was reading your comments here. Yes, a lot of people were saying bullying, abuse, yes, friendship, abuse, that's right. So this video was about bullying, about peer pressure, school life, teenage life. Thank you very much. Thank you for your comments there. When I saw that video, I thought, okay, I need to share it with my students. And I don't really know if you can share it in your context. You know that, and you know better your schools and your context. But I think the message was very, very powerful. Thank you for your comments. Okay, so what we've done, okay, what we've done is called free writing. Free writing is free writing activities in general can be used easily in the classroom, and they have a lot of benefits. Free writing allows room for self-expression. You express your feelings, you express your thoughts. It activates students' schemata, their background knowledge, and it can better prepare them for the lesson. It boosts, obviously, motivation. It arouses students' interests, right? And of course, it improves fluency in writing. So free writing does not require much preparation. You just need to provide a stimulus. It could be a video like this. It could be a song. It could be some music, an image, an object, just a question or a word. But what's important is that you let your students know that there are no right or wrong answers, and you let them know that accuracy and grammar, okay, these things are not important. And perhaps you could encourage them to create a free writing space maybe in their notebook, or they might have a separate free writing notebook. That's why I told you earlier, if you don't want to type anything in the chat, okay, do it on a piece of paper. This is free writing, and we need to make them feel safe. So, as I said earlier, I have selected some units to focus on today. And based on the video we saw, can you guess the unit we're going to focus on? These are the contents, the units, the titles of the units. Can you guess what is the unit we are going to focus on based on the video? Let's see in the chat. Okay. Teenage life, teen life. That's right. This is the unit. Is it the, okay, social media, teen life? Okay. All right. Well, actually, teen life could be, but it's not. What I have selected to focus on is unit 5. Okay. It's a unit on well-being. This unit, as you can see, starts, we can see these 2 pages. It starts with some vocabulary work related to computers. Students are invited also to read a text about online safety. And thinking about providing opportunities to write. Can you think of any little tasks we can do to provide such opportunities in class based on these 2 pages? Any ideas? What could we do in class to provide little writing tasks? Any thoughts? It doesn't have to be a long activity, right? Just a short activity. Let's see. What was the last? Okay, so on your phone. Very good. Menushka. Good and bad sides. Okay, on the internet. Yes. Any other thoughts? Very good ideas. I can see people are typing, so I'm going to wait for a second. Good and bad sides is a very good idea, actually. Okay. Write a text about evolution, okay, of computers, sport, or coach potato. What are you? Okay, yes, why not? Okay, Maria says someone that's a thank you, Miroslava. Okay, so what I had in mind, why not invite our students to write tips on how to stay safe online, right? Before they do the quiz, you can have them write some tips. They can share tips with others. They can compare their ideas and then actually do the quiz. Okay, not only will this give them the chance to write, but also it will give them a reason to read the text that follows. And Achilles, okay, great, fantastic. Okay, let's move on. Now, here we have the second section, 5B. In this section introduces some more vocabulary, right, focusing on behavior, and they're invited to read a text about bullying again. And I was wondering, any ideas now, any little writing tasks we could do here, where we have the text about bullying, actually? Okay, sharing emotions, very good, Timanushka, that's right. Sharing emotions about bullying, I guess. That's very important. This is what I also had in mind. You could give them certain sentence stems and have them in pairs or maybe individually think about bullying. What is bullying? Perhaps they could define what bullying is. Bullying can cause, for example, certain issues, certain problems. Bullying makes me feel what you mentioned earlier. Okay, violence, sharing emotions. Yes, maybe sharing experience. Okay, that's a very good idea, but I think we need to be very careful because if they have experienced it, especially teenagers, they might not want to share it. So we need to be diplomatic there. Bullying is offensive. Yes, yes, yes. So we might activate their background knowledge, their schemata, by providing little writing tasks. Bullying can hurt you deeply. Exactly. Okay, and I thought also after, let's say they have read the text, okay, about bullying, they could create a poster maybe in groups or in pairs. Creating a poster is also a writing activity, right? They could create their posters. You could display their work around the school maybe, or if that's not allowed, maybe in their classes, in their classrooms. And another project they could do after the reading is, they could write a poem, an acrostic poem, like the example here on my slide. They could do this in pairs, in groups, and acrostic poems are not very difficult. You just write a word vertically, and then they add ideas. The sentences do not have to rhyme, so it's very easy to do. And finally, towards the end of the unit, of course, we have this third section, 5C, which involves the main writing task of the unit, okay? So in this section, students read a text which focuses on human rights. They look at problems children face around the world and so on. And finally, the writing task asks them to write about their lives, okay? Appreciating what they have. I thought this task is wonderful, actually. So let's see how we can support our students. Supporting our students is very important. We know that. And we also know that our classes are always mixed ability classes. Okay, so we have the strong students, but we also have some weak students as well. I would like us to take the worst scenario. Let's imagine that we have a low ability group of students who have, serious difficulties in writing. They lack confidence. They have no ideas, and so on. More or less, they can write sentences, but when it comes to paragraph, there is a problem. So how can we help them in building a paragraph? Let's see. There is that quite popular, I would say, technique, which is called the 4-square technique. If you have used it before, just type yes in the chat. This technique can be used in various ways, actually, depending on the text you want your students to produce. As you can see, there are 4 squares, 4 boxes. So let's take an example. Let's take the example of school. Let's suppose that our students want to write about their school. So what the students have to do, they have to write just one sentence, in the first square, and say what they like. Okay, so in this example, I like my school. Then you can do the following. In pairs, you ask students to discuss ideas, providing reasons, okay? It's important to set a time limit. Let's say 1 minute, 2 minutes, it depends. I usually play music in class when I do that kind of activities. So when the music stops, all right, they have to stop. So then they write down just one reason, one sentence in the second box. For example, my school, it has a big yard, right, and many trees. Once they have written their sentence, then they change partners and discuss the same idea with a different person for a minute again, for 2 minutes. You play your music, the music stops, then they have to write a second reason. Okay, I love my school because I can see my friends every day. And then you repeat the process and they write the third reason. My school is great because all teachers are nice. Wonderful. So what have we done? We allow them to share their ideas, okay? And even the weaker students can actually do that because they hear other people's opinions. And it doesn't really matter if they go and copy something, right, from others. It doesn't really matter. And then this is what they have, let's say, in front of them. They just put the sentences together and they have a nice, neat paragraph. But something is missing there. What is missing? What do you think? We have 4 sentences. They have put them together. Something is missing. What is missing? I can see people are typing. The topics. Okay, you mean the other topics. Daniela, I was thinking about this paragraph, let's say. We have 4 sentences. They have put them together. What is missing, I think, is linking words, okay? They have 4 ideas, 4 sentences, 3 ideas, actually, 3 reasons, but they do not have any linking words. So you could give them a few linking words and tell them, okay, why don't you look back? Why don't you revise your little paragraph, make changes, and come up with a nicer paragraph? And you can build on that, right? The students can go back to this little table and start adding ideas, adding details or examples. And you can do that by, just asking this very simple question, why? So for example, it has a big yard and many trees. And why is this a good thing? Because I can play sports and relax at break time. So they start building on their ideas and creating nicer paragraphs. Okay, so let's move on. The second writing task in this same unit can be found in the workbook. It focuses on problems teenagers face, and it actually asks them to invent a problem. That's the writing task. They have to invent a problem, write to a problem page in a teenage magazine, let's say. They have to write to Lizzie, okay? And then they have to write Lizzie's answer to the problem. So it's basically asking for and providing advice. How can we support our students in completing this task? We said earlier that providing examples is important. So here is one way to do this. Look at these 5 words. These 5 words were taken from an email written to Lizzie, okay, about a problem. Can you guess the problem? By looking at these 5 words, what is the problem? What do you think? Maths problem? Okay, what exactly? Bad grades, okay, right. What could be the problem? Okay, so let's see. So here is homework. Okay, thank you. So here is the email, all right? Put the words in the gaps and check whether you guessed correctly. By doing this little task, you have provided your students with a model, yes? And by the way, this model was taken from the teacher's book. So teacher's books are useful. It's worth consulting them. Yes, Achilles, help me because next week I'll have a math test. Good, good. So you provided them with a model and then you put students in pairs and ask them to write a response to that problem. Once they have done that, you provide them with another model taken from the teacher's book, and you ask them to compare their email with the model, focusing on the content, of course, on the ideas, right? On the advice provided. And then you invite them to revise their emails and make any changes they want, and then submit maybe their work. And of course, there are alternatives. You can do a whole class writing, for example. You can have students brainstorm common teenage problems. They can decide on the most serious one, or they can vote on the most serious one. Then you can actually write an email on the board together with your students, right? But of course, you will need to elicit and ask questions. How do we begin an email? How do we address the person? What can go in the first paragraph? How do we end an email? All these questions. Students write the response individually. Then they can swap their emails, compare their ideas, and perhaps offer peer feedback. You can give them little checklists like the one on my slide. Does the email open appropriately? Okay, does it include relevant information? And so on. Another idea, another alternative would be this one. You can have, you can make it real, actually. What do I mean? Each student writes a real letter expressing a real problem and asking for advice. The teacher puts all these letters in a box. Students draw a letter and write a response to a classmate, yes, offering advice. That's why I'm saying real. Then, of course, they can read their letters, self-evaluate their work, or you can involve them in peer feedback. Again, you can use a checklist, and then they revise their email, of course, and then they submit their work. So we have this back and forth, right? Looking at my writing, revising, checking, and so on. Okay, we've looked at some examples from Unit 5. Now, let's explore another unit. Again, a little task for you. The question mark you can see on my slide relates to a person I want you to guess. So I'm going to give you some clues, and you will try to guess who that person is. All right? And please, in order to allow everybody to think, don't write anything in the chat yet. Type your answers when I give you the signal. So here we go. Can you guess the person? He loves high speed and enjoys karting. He's also a great fan of electronic games. Okay, he is a man. He studied in Sofia and graduated from the National Academy for Theatre and Film Arts in 1993 with a degree in acting. Okay. He's a Bulgarian actor, film director, playwright, and choreographer. He was born in 1971 in Russia, Bulgaria. He worked as an actor at the Bulgarian Army Theatre in Sofia. He has played over 40 roles, has written more than 30 dramatic works, participated in numerous Bulgarian and international theater festivals. And the last clue, I hope will help you. He is popular for his comedy sketches. He is also very famous for his role in Views of a Teacher on Folk Art, for which he has received many, many awards. Okay, I can see some answers coming through. That's right, you guessed it correctly. It's Kamen Donev. I hope I'm pronouncing the name right. So based on this task we did, can you guess the next unit we're going to focus on? What do you think the next unit will be based on the activity we did? Okay, Daniela says movies. Let's see, maybe 7, which is values. Okay. Bulgarian actors. So Achilles, if it's Bulgarian actors, that should be movies. And yeah, if we look at the units, it is actually unit 6, movie mad. That's right. So in this unit, in the workbook, where students are exposed to some biographies, right, through several texts, and they're asked to write a biography. So the activity we did earlier could be done in the classroom, possibly focusing on a different actor, right? An actor that the students would like and would know. But it was basically a model, yes? However, the way I presented the clues, the information, was not ideal. And it was done on purpose, so as to invite the students to think about the order, the structure of the text. And this could be done with the help of headings. So for example, what heading would you give to number 1, to clue number 1? Would it be career, hobbies, achievements, education? What do you think? Can you type in the chat? It will be career would be 3, yes. Yes, number 1 would be hobbies, probably. That's right. Likes, dislikes, correct. You could have the headings, or you could have them come up with some headings. So once the students have done this, you can provide them with a framework, a plan, and ask them, okay, where would you put that information, these headings, let's say? And this way, you actually help them with the structure, okay? They would come up with something like this, possibly. You help them with the structure of the text, okay? And then you could ask them to write a biography without revealing the person, so the classmates can actually try to guess the person as you did. So they would have a little bit of fun in class, and then you could have them read the models maybe in the book and compare their biographies with those in the book. You can provide some language support, of course, and then encourage them again to revise their drafts, make some changes before they submit their work. And here is a little activity to provide some language support. You can give them some phrases and ask them to put the phrases in the correct column. So phrases to introduce the person, to talk about personal information, to talk about education. They can do this activity in groups, in pairs, and then they can actually have a look at their draft and make the changes. And of course, peer feedback. Peer feedback is important. You can give them, you can give your learners a set of guiding questions. So when they swap their biographies, they can provide feedback based on that. Are the ideas presented in a logical order? Is the structure right? Have they used linking words such as but, so, and? Is punctuation used correctly, and so on? Okay, So we've looked at some examples from Unit 6. One more to go. Look at this image. What do you think it represents? And can you guess what unit we're going to focus on this time? What do you think the image represents? United, stand strong. Good, Daniela. So what do you think the unit would be? Diversity, unit, values. Values says, values says Bogdana. Different ethnicity says Achilles. Values, diversity, Bayana. Yes, exactly. Yes, we are going to focus on values, unit 7. It starts with some vocabulary work related to protecting the environment. There is also a puzzle for them to do. And again, thinking about this idea of providing opportunities to write. You could invite your students, for example, to create a mind map in groups. This is writing as well. They could compare their mind maps, how they can protect the environment, and then they can read the text in their books. And it is important to actually, when they compare their ideas, perhaps you could invite them to report back. Yes, what did you learn anything new? Is there something that impressed you? Any idea you liked? And then in the next pages, in section 7b, students again are introduced to some vocabulary related to society, to values, and thinking about providing opportunities. Again, what can we do? What little writing tasks can we do? By the way, if you have any ideas, please type them in the chat. What I really liked about this unit is this activity here. It says, what's important to you? Choose 3 of the following things. Tell your class. We could do this as a writing task, actually. And I thought, why not do this? You could have your students choose one thing that is important to them. Ask them to write 3 little sentences about it without using any words that would make it obvious. And then classmates have to guess what's important to that person. So for example, let's try it out. I have selected one thing that it is important to me, and I have written a little paragraph. I want you to guess. This is important to me because I feel it's the only way to make this world a better place. If we achieve this, we can make a difference in people's lives. It will change the way they think and act. So what's important to me? Can you guess? Let me see. Someone is typing. Helping poor people could be. It will change the way they think and act. School for everyone. Timenishka, yes, this is what I had in mind. Well, actually, a lot of things are important to me, but I just wanted to create this little activity. Yes, thank you very much. So finally, in section 7c, students read about making a difference in this world. They listen to some texts about social issues, and they're invited to complete this little writing task. They're provided with 3 options, which is great. We said providing options is necessary. And they are also provided with a little plan, which is also helpful. This is basically an advantages and disadvantages essay, because they have to write reasons why something is a good idea, why something is difficult, and so on and so forth. So how can we support our students in generating ideas and boosting their confidence? Here is one idea. You can do a concentric circles discussion. Have you ever tried that before? If yes, no, type in the chat. It is a discussion strategy. No. Okay. It is a discussion strategy which encourages every student to participate as an active listener and speaker. It works this way. Students stand in two concentric circles facing one another and discussing a question, basically in pairs. And when prompted by the teacher, one of the circles moves to the right, to the left, it doesn't matter. So each student now faces a new partner with whom they discuss the same or a different question. It is a kinesthetic activity which allows students to share ideas with a wide range of students, and it works very well for shy students who don't want to participate in whole classroom discussions. And it is also great for weak students because they will be hearing lots of ideas. They might be repeating, other ideas and practicing their speaking. So it's a very good activity, technique. So once they have shared their ideas and discussed the points in their tasks, they select one of the 3 points and write their essay. You can provide a model, of course, after they have written their first draft. You can do this before, of course, but the idea is to provide a model, basically. You can also provide language support and encourage them again to revise their drafts. You can provide a model, like a complete model like this one, or you could provide a model in a jumbled order and ask them to put the paragraphs in order. But it's important to discuss what helped them in their decision. So they think about the structure of the text. You might invite them to notice the topic sentences. And of course, you could do it paragraph by paragraph. So for example, for the first paragraph, you can show 2 versions and ask them which is better. By the way, which one do you feel is better? The first or the second paragraph? So you could ask them to think about it, notice the sentences, how the paragraph is structured. Okay, the second one, of course it is the second one, because we have the topic sentence followed by, details, examples, and so on. So once the students get the idea, for the second paragraph, you could ask them to put the sentences together. Okay, so they would have to think about, they would have to spot the topic sentence, the details, the examples. And of course, for the last paragraph, you could draw their attention to the phrase used to express opinion, okay, and ask them to provide, of course, alternatives. Instead of, in my opinion, we could say, I believe that, to my mind, and so on and so forth. And then you would invite them to revise their drafts before they submit their work. And of course, language support. In this particular task, we expect them to use adjectives. So in order to avoid that repetition of the same vocabulary, good, bad, good, bad, good, bad, okay, you can give them a little table like this, which adjectives or phrases have the opposite meaning of the words involved. Okay, so you provide them with the language needed, and then they would revise their drafts, use some of the adjectives, and so on. And again, peer feedback, writing feedback grids can be very helpful. Invite them to offer peer feedback. Has your classmate covered the points in the instructions? Has your classmate given reasons, examples? Is there a topic sentence? Whatever. And of course, finally, teacher feedback is absolutely important. And it's not about giving a grade, okay? And we can have a whole webinar on this. It's about helping them become better writers. So it's about providing comments, what they did well, what needs to be improved, and so on. And I'm not sure whether you prepare for Cambridge exams, but Cambridge Assessment English has created guides for teachers to help them assess writing. Those guides are useful because they provide useful advice and actually a template you could use. I have a QR code there, so you can scan and it will take you to the guide. Okay, so don't write now anything in the chat, just think about this. What are you going to take away from this session? And what are you planning to do differently, perhaps in your next writing lesson? So these are my references and a useful link there. Thank you very much for your contributions, for being active, for participating.
Thank you too. It was, again, really useful. You've made a previous session for Stupor Minds, now for your space. Great insights. I hope that all of the attendances here are going with some really nice ideas. And yep. Thank you all. Благодаря ви на всички за участието. И така, пожелавам ви много хубава вечер, да си починете, да се отпуснете, да се презаредите за следващия ден и дано седмицата да ви мине леко.
Thank you.